So we are now 5 episodes into The Last of Us Season 1, and I'm really starting to trust the production crew, the writers, the actors, and everyone who is making this show a reality. They are doing such a fine job. Everything that we have seen so far has just been straight up immaculate. Like, I can't think of one episode that was faulty, and as a result of that, I wanted to talk about The Last of Us Part 2, the game, and how they are going to adapt one big moment from it. So this video will absolutely contain spoilers, major spoilers, like show-altering spoilers for The Last of Us. So if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 or you don't know what happens, make sure you leave this video because it is a huge moment up there with like some of the biggest moments in TV history. So yeah, you are warned. From here on out, we are going to be talking about it. But I received a comment on one of my polls recently from Shadow Plays 100, who says, I would love if you gave your opinion on The Last of Us 2. Personally, I think it's great storytelling, but it depresses me so much. So yeah, The Last of Us Part 2, again, big spoilers. This is where it starts. 3, 2, 1. Joel dies really early on in The Last of Us Part 2, which is extremely disappointing. And even me, as someone who never fully played the games and just watched the story and knows a little bit about what happens, I was very disappointed to see Joel's death because Joel was such a major character. And yes, Ellie makes the story for sure, but it's Joel too. And we get so much out of Joel. And right now we're getting so much out of Pedro Pascal. So to see what they did in The Last of Us Part 2, the game, it's making everyone curious how they are going to adapt that for screen. And I'm just going to say it right off the bat. I hope they do it. To be completely honest with you, I hope they do it. But there is a big asterisk next to that. I think if they do decide to do that scene, they need to do it right. And they need to actually tell the story from The Last of Us Part 2. Because what we're getting right now, it looks like Season 1 is going to just be all of The Last of Us Part 1, the game. So it looks like we're going to get that full story told just in the TV format. And we already are. Season 1, episode 5 was a pretty much one for one of what happened with Henry and Sam. We got Bill and Frank stuff. We got a lot of the stuff that was ripped straight out of the game, just brought to screen, and it's doing it a lot of justice. It's doing such a good job. So I think they're going to end it where they ended the first game. And I think the second season, which has already been renewed, I think they are going to do The Last of Us Part 2, the full game, in just one season. So when I say there's a big asterisk next to the moment, if they are going to do the moment, I hope they don't have like 6 more seasons planned, if that makes any more sense. Like, if they're doing that moment, there should only be maybe 1 more season. If they're making The Last of Us Part 3, they should obviously adapt that as well. They should adapt whatever the source material is. I really do think, unless the source material becomes terrible, even though I don't think it's going to, because we have people working from the game at Naughty Dog. We have them working here at HBO on the show. So I don't think they're going to make it terrible, but I don't think they should do it if there are going to be many more seasons of the show, because Joel is such an important element. And for them to do what they did, they have to do it obviously very similar to the game, but they got to make it better, because there was a lot of controversy that happened when the game was first aired, and a lot of that had to do with like PewDiePie making a video being extremely disappointed. Overall, The Last of Us Part 2 was fantastic. Like it's very similar to The Last of Us Part 1. It was a fantastic story. Yes, Joel died early on in it, but it was still very good. Whereas, The Last of Us Part 1 was all about love. The Last of Us Part 2 was all about hate and revenge. And I really did like that. I like what they told. I liked Ellie's journey in it. And even though they killed Joel early on in the game, they definitely had a lot of flashbacks with him. It felt like he was still there even though he died. But that being said, I definitely think it is going to cause major controversy And I'm really interested to see how they're going to tackle that because the TV medium is extremely different than the video game medium. So right now, what we've gotten in The Last of Us is a very doled down, violent show. Like, the violence in the game is pretty strong. And I got a comment recently on one of my videos, on The Last of Us Part 5 video, where someone was like, yeah, you Walking Dead fans want the violence. Let me address that really quickly. I don't want the violence at all. I do not want it to be a super gory show, like, at all. But a little violence can go a long way. And the game where this show is adapted from had a lot of violence. Yes, some of the cutscenes didn't have it, like Henry's death. When we saw Henry's death in the game, it did cut away in a similar way to how it did in the show. Not identical, but in the game, you actually got to see the violent moment just kind of off view. That's how they kind of do it. But then when you're playing as Joel or Ellie, there is violence for sure. Like, the game has that. The show should a little bit too. I'm going a little bit far off course, but the overall point I'm getting to is I don't want this show to be super violent. However, Joel's death in the game is extremely violent. It's pretty much the same as a big moment that happens in The Walking Dead, that, because I don't want to spoil that show, you know the scene, it's whatever. I'm not even going to go there, but like, that was a very violent scene. This scene in The Last of Us Part 2 was very violent just like that, and it was very, very similar to that. It is going to, for sure, throw people off, especially if at this pace that we're going, they're not showing a lot of violence, so there's not much of an expectation. So if they actually do that moment on screen the way they did in the game, it's going to cause an uproar. Like, no matter what, people are going to lose interest in the show because Joel's a major character, right? If they do it in the exact same way that they did in the show, in the game, it is going to be a problem. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm cool with it. I'm going to watch no matter what. If they decide to tell a exact recreation of The Last of Us game, Part 2, I'm okay with it because I liked the story that they told. I understand it's a major moment, but they did it justice in the show, or in the game, I should say. So I think they're going to do justice to it on screen, but I think they're going to have to alter stuff because there is going to be a majority of the fan base who have not played the game, who know nothing about the game, who are watching this, who are going to be extremely disappointed. And then the people who are watching it, who loved the game, will probably still be disappointed because Pedro Pascal is a fantastic actor. And to see that they killed him that early on, even though there are flashbacks, even though the game is very Joel focused, like the entire game is, even though he's dead, I think there's going to be a lot of uproar in the community at large. So I guess even though I think they should do it, I think they have to be careful about how to do it. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that means they're going to completely rewrite his death and change it, which I hope to God they don't do. Or it means they keep it the exact same, but maybe do it like later on. So at least you have a full season with Joel and wait until the end for it. I have no idea. I cannot forecast how they're going to do it, but what I can say is I trust these writers. They have done a fantastic job in season 1. If the writing and production crew stays the same in season 2, which I hope to God it does, and they don't make a grave mistake like The Walking Dead did, I trust that they're going to do it right, but I am, of course, a little skeptical. I think there's reason to be, and if you're skeptical too, number one, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But number two, if you're skeptical too, I think you have a reason to be, because that was a very, 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 very controversial moment. So far, they have done a fantastic job adapting the show, which makes me think they're probably going to adapt it one for one. And if they do, again, I'll say it again, I'm cool with it. Just, I think it's going to cause a problem. So I trust these writers so far. I trust this cast and crew to put on something magnificent. I really do. Ellie, I was a little bit worried about with her responses and her reactions to certain events, but she's doing a fantastic job. Bella Ramsey is killing it. So I think she's going to do a great job carrying the show if they do decide to go that route. That being said, they just have to be careful, man. They really, really just have to be careful. Otherwise, aside from the moment that happened in the game, like that big moment, I really liked the story that they did tell in The Last of Us Part 2. So I'm okay to see it all brought to screen. It was very depressing to see what happened, but I'm okay with it. If they make Tommy a bigger character and they make Ellie the big focus now and all of that stuff, I think it'll work. I really do. But it can't be like 6 seasons, and it can't deviate too far, but they got to make it a little bit better for screen, because a moment like that needs proper justice on screen. And I feel like they've been doing a really good job at that so far. So I'm not too worried, but it is definitely something. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. It's like The Last of Us is great, but you know what I mean? That's how it feels right now for us game fans. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I can't wait to see what they do. Who knows when we're going to get it. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Looking forward to The Last of Us Part 2 when it drops on, the TV show version. But definitely skeptical and going in with a little bit, my hands are on the seats. Like I'm a little concerned, but we'll play that by ear. And with that out of the way, I want to know what you feel about this. Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked this video, help me share it with more people by giving it a like rating. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I talk about The Last of Us, other shows like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, yada, 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 all the shows. So make sure you check those out. And with that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.